Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Tasis Kilimos. Happy to be joining you guys for another edition of NBA Player Prop Parlay right here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend thus far. If you're like me in the New England area, hope you guys are getting ready for this big snowstorm they're talking about. Whatever the case may be, wherever you are in the country, I'm happy that you guys are here with me today. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I do NBA Player Prop Parlays all week long, along with all the other great content we have here on the channel. Quick recap of last night. We did miss the mark by one leg. 3 out of 4 legs hit last night. The only leg we missed was the Sadiq Bey over points and rebounds, over 17.5. We missed by just a little bit, but no worries. We're back at it today. I have a 3-leg parlay here, plus 212 odds to kind of get bounced back and get some units back from yesterday's loss. So, without further ado, guys, let's dive right in. As always, guys, I use DraftKings as my sportsbook of choice. I just like to let that be known from the get-go so you guys know what odds you are looking at. So, kicking off, we have a 3-leg parlay, like I said. First leg, we're targeting the Boston Celtics at Indiana Pacers game, which kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We are going with Derek White of the Boston Celtics over 17.5 points plus rebounds. We're going to get that at minus 215 odds. Now, let's jump over here to the Outliers screen. By the way, guys, this show, as well as all my player prop parlay videos, are brought to you by Outlier. They are the sponsor of today's video, and again, all of my player prop parlay videos on the channel. They are the best sports betting tool on the market, and instead of giving you guys an ad read, the best way I can show this to you guys and promote this is to just use it live on camera and show you guys how it's done. So, we're in the Outlier screen here. It is the best sports betting tool on the market. It gives you all this kind of data, all this research that helps you figure out what you want to take for your player props. When you use our special link in the description below, you get a 7-day free trial. So make sure to check that out. You will not regret it. You're going to watch this video and you're going to say, wow, I want all this insight. And I promise you, it is worth it. So starting off here, first leg, we had Derek White. And if you scroll down here, you look at his last 10 games, 80% hit rate in his last 10 games. He did not hit it last night when they played Utah. He had 10 points and 7 rebounds. But overall, in his last 10 games, he's hitting this an 80% rate. And when you look at the 2023-2024 season as a whole, it's pretty good. 68% hit rate on the year. He's hit this in 21 out of 31 games. He had hit this in 8 consecutive games coming into last night's contest with Utah. And if you actually break it down to his last 20 games, 16 of his last 20 games, 80% hit rate, he is hitting this number. And you see the few times that he missed, he's just barely missing. This is an alternate line, which is why you see a little bit more of a success rate. But for minus 215 odds, I really don't think you can beat it. And guys, most importantly, when you look at the head-to-head numbers here, each of the last 4 times that Derek White has matched up with the Pacers, including the 2 times that they've met this season, November 1st and December 4th, he has cashed this over. You see on November 1st, he had 18 points and 3 rebounds. And on December 4th, the most recent matchup, he had 18 points and 4 rebounds. So he's cashed this both times, and he's got it pretty high over. So I like that spot. And you look over the right side of the screen here with the defensive numbers. Indiana, they are the 2nd worst defensive team in the NBA in terms of points allowed, which is pretty good for us. Now, the Pacers don't give up a ton of rebounds. Right now, you see down here, they are tied for 9th in the NBA. They give about 42.8 rebounds per game defensively. So they're not they don't really give up a ton of rebounds to teams, but they give up a lot of points. They give just shy of 125 points per game to opposing teams. So, I think it's a good defensive matchup. He's done it the last 4 times they played. In his last 20 games, he's covered this 16 times. Really good spot for Derek White for the first leg of our 3-leg parlay. And for the second leg of our 3-leg parlay, guys, we are targeting the Knicks-Wizards game, which kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We are going with Dante DiVincenzo of the New York Knicks. We're going to go over 15.5 points, rebounds, plus assist combo prop. Get that at minus 225 odds on DraftKings. Now, when you look at his last 10 games, it's not bad. 6 of his last 10 games, he's cashed this over, including 4 in a row. He had a big blowout game against Indiana. He had 38 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. And in the last 3 games, he's hit it, but just barely. So not a horrible spot. On the year as a whole, not that great. 15 out of 35 games this year, he's hit this over. He's not really been covering this super consistently, but there's a couple reasons as to why I like this prop. First and foremost, we do have the head-to-head data. The one time that the Knicks played the Wizards this year, he did cash this over. He had 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. So he did already hit this once against the Wizards. So that is already a good starting point for us. But most importantly, what I like the most here is right over here on this right side of the screen here. The Washington Wizards, for all accounts, I mean, I know Detroit's technically the worst team in the NBA, but Washington's right there. They are definitely the worst defensive team in the NBA. Right over here, you look at points allowed, rebounds allowed, assists allowed. They are dead last in every category. 126 points per game given up. They give up 50 rebounds a game. And they give up 30, almost 31 assists per game. So this is the worst defensive team in the NBA, and he's already covered this once. It's a great defensive matchup. I have a feeling DiVincenzo should be able to hit this number. 15.5 points, rebounds, plus assists. I think this is very doable against a weak Wizards team. And for the third and final leg of today's parlay, guys, we're targeting the Bucks-Rockets game, which kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going with Jalen Green of the Houston Rockets over 19.5 points plus assists. You get that at minus 210 odds currently on DraftKings. And look, I'll admit, out of the three legs, this is definitely the riskiest. Jalen Green over his last 10 games. He's hit this in 5 of his last 10 games, but you kind of narrow it down a little bit to his last 5. He's hit in 4 of his last 5 games. He just missed the mark on January 3rd against Brooklyn, but they played Minnesota last night, a pretty tough defensive matchup, and he had 20 points and 2 assists. So he has been covering this a little more consistently of late, and when you break it down to the 2023 season as a whole, it's not terrible. 17 out of 33 games, that is a 52% hit rate for Jalen Green on the season. So yes, over his last 10 games, you see it's just a 50% hit rate, and you see a lot more red. If you go over his last 20, it's 9 of his last 20 games. It's a 45% rate. Those numbers don't look great. But overall in the season, he is covering this the majority of the time. 52% of his games, he has hit this over. But most importantly, this is the number we want to look at here. In his last 3 matchups versus Milwaukee, including the one time they played this year, they met on December 17th of this season. He has cashed this over. He had 16 points and 7 assists when they played Milwaukee back on December 17th. And in the previous 2 matchups last season versus Milwaukee, he hit this over. What helps us here is that defensively, Milwaukee's not as good as they were last year. You look right here, they are bottom 10 in the league. They give about just shy of 120 points per game to opposing teams. And they're about middle of the road, 16th in the NBA in assists allowed, giving up just about 27 assists per game. So defensively, Milwaukee, not a great team defensively. He has covered this consistently against this Milwaukee team. So I do like the spot here for Jalen Green. And just one more stat I want to share with you guys. One of the cool features of Outlier is that you can go ahead and put a bunch of filters as to what you want to see, for what's the spread, how many minutes, what players he's playing with, what player he's without, home games, away games, all this cool stuff. Outlier, I'm telling you guys, it is the best sports betting tool on the market. But I kind of put a filter here to see what he looks like at home. And you see here, he is hitting this at a higher rate when they play at home in Houston, and they are in Houston tonight. 12 out of 20 games this season, 60% hit rate with this over when they play at home. And if you go back to 2022, when he was at home last year, he fucking crushed. Sorry to use swears, but he crushed this number. 85% hit rate last season at home, 33 out of 39 games. Now, I know that number is not as high this year, but he consistently hits this at home. He's proven it last season. And again, and so far this year, that much of the same. Again, not as high of a hit rate, right? 60% hit rate, but still solid. It proves that when he plays in Houston, he is a better player with this defensive matchup. I expect Jalen Green to be able to hit this number again. He's done it each of the last 3 times he's faced off with the Milwaukee Bucks. So that is the third and final leg of today's parlay. And so, guys, looking over at the right side of the screen here, you see our betting card. Again, unfortunately, if you're not using DraftKings, you're not going to be able to take these exact props you see here. It's not available on FanDuel. It's not available on Caesars or MGM. Now, I talked about this on yesterday's video. You can find these props, just not at these exact numbers. So, for example, you click on Derek White here, and you go to his alternate lines, and you go ahead and say, all right, what, over 19.5. If you look over here, you'll see now on that line, over 19.5, you'll see on Caesars it's available, on BetMGM it's available, on DraftKings, and the data's there. I mean, it's still there, so it's really up to you guys. Obviously, if you use the link in the description below, you get a 7-day free trial. You can look at Outlier for yourself and kind of determine how you feel, but that, you know, it's really up to you guys. I'm taking the alternate lines for a better chance of hitting this parlay, but these props that I am giving you guys are not available anywhere but DraftKings, just to let you guys know. But again, if you go ahead and you adjust the line, if you adjust the odds, you adjust the total, you probably can find these props on other sports books. But again, the data changes, the odds change. It's a better payout for your parlay if you went with some of these, like the Derek White over 19.5 points plus rebounds. Actually would pay out more for you. But again, we're just trying to get a hit here. So these are the 3 legs. When you combine them, you get a plus 212 parlay. Again, let's just get a win here. Let's get some units back. But that is it for me, guys. That is it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment down below, anything you want. I love to see the conversations flowing. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers. We'd love to help us get there. Excuse me, a little tongue twisted there. Would love for you guys to help us get there. We are very close. We just hit 47,000 subscribers. It's a Saturday, guys. Saturday vibes are on. Tongue's getting twisted. But thank you very much for watching. I will be back tomorrow with a new NBA player prop parlay. And until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. I'll see you tomorrow.